Yes, and everybody.
How are we doing?
Yeah, man, all good. How are yourself?
Apart from just choking on some olives, I'm good, bro.
I thought seeded grapes or olives.
Oh no, yeah, the black grapes I normally get here out of season, so
Hmm.
but I got a really nice connect for some olives.
Yeah,
Marin
you sent me that. You sent me them all them selection of olives the other time, and oh mate, they look good.
yeah, marinated in garlic, lemon,
Olive oil.
real olive oil.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's what it's about, man.
but I've um I've mentioned in the sort of caption on the post that you know we're coming at this from the angle of the ascension mindset. So if I'm to ask you what you interpret as the ascension mindset, like what is it to you? What
I,
does that mean?
I would say to give a bit of a wider sort of explanation, so other people can grasp this. I would say the time that we're going into at the moment, there is a massive divide, and unfortunately, if you haven't started to unpick yourself and you haven't started to try and level yourself up in a certain way, you might be on the wrong side of that divide. Now, what this ascension is essentially a group of a group of people that are starting to understand themselves. Therefore, by understanding themselves, they understand the universe and what we need to start doing to reverse this cycle that has been pushed upon us over the last however many hundreds and thousands of years.
Yeah,
And by meeting more people and by spreading this message, that is the only way that that is going to happen. There is too many things out there now that are degrading men and degrading women on a emotional, a physical, and a spiritual level. That if we don't start to acknowledge this and rise above these factors, that will become the gap will become way too big to make a difference and do anything about it. So that's what I believe the ascension is. It's a group of people just with a vast understanding of what is actually going on.
yeah, literally that. Sorry, the cat. Yeah, literally that. Mate. It's perfect, and you see the distancing and how I've managed to sort of summarize it is a power knowledge difference or differential. So like the more knowledge you have, the more so-called power that you have,
The more,
and
yeah, the more power of yourself you have.
yeah, so not power as in to be sort of capitalize on people's lack of knowledge. It's
Hmm.
more the power to strengthen yourself, to optimize your connection to who you actually are. It,
And by doing so, there is a byproduct of influencing other people.
yeah, yeah. Um, and, as much as we can focus on how the knowledge is being used against us,
Hmm.
we're also then giving power to them, to
Yep,
them.
you're feeding it by
Yeah,
living in fear. By living in fear of what they're doing is kind of what they are doing because
yeah,
that makes you live in fear in that third dimensional state, and you when you get
yeah,
locked there, very, very, very hard unless you do some deep work with yourself to ever elevate yourself back out of them lower three chakras and start to think outside of that third dimension.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like one of the videos I put out the other day saying that the material plane is literally, you can touch it, right? So because we can touch it, we determine its worth, its value based on the fact it's all its legitimacy based on the
Mm.
fact we can touch it. So because you can't touch certain things, you can't touch a thought or a feeling or an emotion. You can't touch it.
Yeah.
So then we disregard its potency, its effect, its power.
Because in this world, the physical objects hold a bigger value to most people, so they
Right.
don't believe in the value of these things that are not touchable and seeable.
Yeah, and that's kind of, you know, I want to say it's fair enough, because we've all been classically trained, right? We've all went through, generally all of us have gone through the education system, so
Hmm.
therefore we're all going to have certain uniform ideas. I
Yeah.
get that, and that's fair enough. But the ascension mindset is actually to not be there, but to actually build upon what has been given or taught, absorb,
Hmm.
and then ascend, as in expand from that foundational knowledge to platform.
And grow even further than we perceive as possible.
Yeah, yeah, and this is where it's very difficult, because we we have a tendency to be happy where we are, to be
Content.
comfortable.
And that's why the world is built around comfort. Every single thing that the majority of this world is doing on a daily basis is built around comfort.
Yeah, and it's because it taps into those lower, or not even lower, they're very primitive brain states, brain waves,
Mhm.
and this encourages us to want to stay there. There's a lot of science involved in making people comfortable and compliant, um, and that's essentially what, you know, how capitalism is, how it basically capitalizes over you,
Mhm.
capitalizes on the fact you're comfortable.
Yeah, and also it's even deeper than being comfortable,
Yeah,
because they are so knowledgeable as well, and they know how to chemically imbalance people. They know how to present things in certain ways to make people indoctrinate it into their mind from young ages without people even consciously being able to be aware of that situation. They adopt habits, they adopt attitudes towards the world that they authentically themselves would probably never want to feel or be like, or have situational things like that happen to them. But because of the way the world's conditioned them, they belong now on them thoughts, because they're not able to reprogram, relearn, and
mm,
then ascend, like you're saying.
yeah, that's perfectly put, man. And this is when you go into the fields of social sciences. So your psychology is your anthropology, which means study of human behavior,
Mhm.
and many more, sociology, etc. And when you have really so-called brilliant minds working on this, in this area, as a capitalist, are you going to want to use that in for good means, benevolent means, or malevolent means, meaning the opposite of
Mhm.
good? And the reality is, you know, what we can see, which is an inversion. So it's a going backwards. People
A
talk
deep.
about
Yeah.
progress, but we're arguably, as a collective, we are going backwards.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they like to portray this image of getting better and cleverer, like iPhones and all this technology and stuff like that. But we, as a human race, we're not developing at all. We're degressing, declining,
Yeah,
whatever you. Yeah.
yeah. And the only reason we say that is because you have to look at the science, you have to look at the stats. This is what we've all been indoctrinated also to follow, is the science,
Yeah.
is the statistics, And the statistics don't lie about the current state of people's health.
Mm-hmm.
And this is essentially where we're at now. Most people have the fear of death. Right?
Oh, it
So,
was something I've spoken about this recently to quite a lot of people. It was something I struggled with. I struggled with it a lot when I was younger. The fear of it was so
yeah,
overwhelming. But there are protocols and there are ways that
interesting.
you can deal with this, and you can change that. Because
Oh,
when you start to become grateful, and as we were saying about the third dimension, as soon as you start to elevate above that, then fears can kind of be motivators, not fears. They can be stuff that makes you excited to be here and content in a different way. That
yeah.
you're content that you're you, not content that you're just content in the environment that you're
Mm, yeah, exactly. This kind of inner peace.
in. Yes, exactly. That's if you ask the majority of people in this world what they genuinely want, once they've experienced what they think they want, everybody says, I want to be happy.
Mm, yeah,
They want, and what that means is they want to be at peace. They don't want to be stressed, working, angry.
yeah, yeah. It, we have to kind of. I see it as emotions are there to teach us lessons, and the trouble is that when we experience a so-called negative emotion, we don't let it actually. We don't sit with it enough,
That's very, very true. Yeah.
and that is also another social science outcome is because when you do that, you hide it, you suppress it, and when you suppress it, it stays in your fascia, it stays in your tissues,
Chakras, yeah. Body.
issues your tissues, because it literally, again, you can't see this, you can't see an emotion, so yeah, it gets stuck, and then we have other issues as a result of that, and
Yep.
that's what holistic health is addressing those
Traumas.
aspects of self wholly.
Yeah, well, 100%. And I think sitting with it, like you say, is feeling an array of emotions, and you've got to, instead of being scared of that man or woman, you've got to listen to their emotions and
Yeah.
work out why you are feeling that. There is no lesson that will ever be taught to you from the universe where there is not things to learn from it. No matter whether it's a bad situation or a good situation, it's all down to how you reflect on that. And if you genuinely want to be a better person and you want to improve your life in more aspects than just the financial and physical, you have to learn to listen to it. And my biggest advice for anybody out there would be start meditating, start doing some breath work, start doing things like sound healing, anything that's going to start to shift some of this emotion, start to bring it to the surface a little bit more. Maybe do an experience or go to a retreat where people can start to shift things for you and help you. And when you start to feel that emotion, sit with it and learn from it, and go on every day from there, learning from your life, learning from every single moment of your day. You taught me one of the most fascinating things that someone's ever said to me, and you said you treat things as a case study.
Mm.
And to me, that changed a lot of the way I looked at the world. Instead of just having a view, I started to appreciate individual people, started to appreciate individual moments,
Mm.
and like started to use them as a case study to decipher what I really want and what I want to be in my life.
Absolutely, mate. It's because we're all a unified consciousness. Consciousness is just awareness. So
Mm-hmm.
when you watch the news, you have a unified, meaning one, joined awareness on the
Yeah.
news or what's happening and what's new. And obviously the news is designed to be a certain way, to make you think a certain way, but it's the same thing. So you can imagine there's a collective, a whole, one consciousness that is essentially making us feel certain things again that we don't necessarily understand
Yeah.
or can compute. And so therefore this invisible aspect is the same thing in which we need to look at within ourselves.
Yes, 100%.
I've just seen James say about he did a 2-day Kambo ceremony and was shaking like mad, releasing the traumas stuck in the cells and the fascia.
Yes, James. That's purging. I wasn't going to mention the drug aspect of things. I was just trying to keep it a bit more PG. But there are so many plant medicines out there that can, if you're using them in a respectful manner and in the correct way for the right reason, you can definitely increase your ascension time. For,
Yeah,
for me, some of them plant medicines massively helped with my awakening. Each to their own. There is so many remedies. You don't have to, but there's other things like sound healing, meditation, breath work.
yeah,
There is so many things out there holistically that can help you, but you've got to be open to the idea of these things.
yeah. And let's be real. That all they really do is work with the body's innate intelligence, and they shortcut in a way. They speed up the reprogramming process. They are responsible for plasticity in the brain. So essentially, your neural pathways are all like hooked, and they're all connected. And so
Yeah,
what certain plant medicines do is they unhook this
and
memory or
create.
this trauma, and they actually unhook it, and then they forge new neural pathways. So then that trauma or that memory is less effective on your thought process. And
And
this is
that is the beauty behind it all.
yeah,
And if just to quickly touch on a different thing completely, that is why they're banned.
yeah,
That is why they're banned worldwide in a lot of places until the last decade, because they don't want people to start getting over their traumas. And this is what me and Alex here, this is the message that we're trying to say. Just because they have a government badge or they're wearing a uniform doesn't mean they're there to help you. And the higher powers that they intentionally or unintentionally serve, they're not there to help you either.
yeah. And slightly, acknowledging that in all of its seriousness, the very fact that we have to be, censor our words should also show you that if you're talking about something that you shouldn't, then there's an issue going on.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll say less because we're on a filter here.
100%. Because that could be a topic that a lot of people would like to dive deep into, but the same rule applies.
Yeah. What's this, Katia? You say, yeah, most people don't know what to do with their emotions. That's why they try to numb them or distract themselves as a way to avoid them. I mean,
Completely. Yeah. All it does is when you do these things, I've been that person, I've done them things from past traumas, delve deep into alcohol, delve deep into party drugs and things that were not serving a purpose to me. And all it did was prolong my suffering constantly instead of being able to sit with it, learn from it, and kind of come to terms with it in a better way. Because let's be honest, all of us, even though we have traumas, these things will always affect us, but you can make it affect you in a different way. You can make it your driving force. You can make it the way that you don't make them same sincere mistakes again. You can change the person into the person that you should be, not the person that you was. Or it works in magnificent ways as long as you're willing to listen and willing to get better.
Yeah, so true. And it is down to your intention, your attitude, and to what extent you have the courage to actually go through it. It's like
Yeah.
we need to have there needs to be some discomfort in order to get a good result. It's like
Oh,
building
I
muscle.
say this constantly all the time. Suffering will always be the most important thing that you can do. No great person that has ever lived has ever not suffered probably the most. And the people that suffer the most are the people that can then help other people suffer it. And
Yeah,
that is the whole beauty of the journey. You'll find some of the most happy people in the world are people that serve the good of humanity, like to help people, like the people that are carers, the people that are just doing things for other people, PTs, helping people, helping life coach, counseling, because they know that they're serving a purpose and doing a good thing.
yeah. It's a service, and I as speaking as a coach myself, it comes from knowing that you've been there, and there's a desire to help because you recognize yourself in other people as like
Hmm.
reflections, and you want to speed up the process. Like that's ultimately you get such a satisfaction from helping people get to a goal quicker than you
Yeah.
have,
Hmm.
and make sure that they don't encounter the same misfortunes or incorrect form
And make the same mistakes that you made along that journey.
mistakes.
It's like it's kind of like a natural process as well. You get a lot of people in the gym that they see someone doing something wrong, and most of the time, if they're a pretty decent person, they go over there and say, "Oh, try it this way or do it this way," and that's because they've been that person doing it that other way before,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
someone's come and showed them or helped them, or they've had to learn for themselves, and now you're able to go and help someone.
exactly.
But
And
it's a powerful thing to do.
yeah,
If you can help other people because of your struggles and the things that you've been through, if anything, that helps you even more.
it does. You get like a feedback whereby because you're putting yourself out there, it's like reciprocal, reciprocation,
Hmm.
and that cause and effect, that law of correspondence. So when you give out and you get back, that's what's happening because you're being of service to someone. You're transforming their whole way of doing something, their process, and then as a result, that exchange of energy then benefits you.
You said it there. You said it there, man. Energy, 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 energy. Could talk about it all day long. It's one of the most important things. When you are giving your energy out, no matter whether you like it or not, or if that's your intention,
Yeah,
you need to receive need to receive an equal energy. You need to be, if you're helping someone, that needs to, as you just said, they need to benefit from that and then be grateful for you. And then it's followed. It's like a nice big circle. If you are giving energy out to things that serve you no purpose, you are just draining your life energy. And this is
mm-hmm.
what kind of just wants me to start swaying this topic now into some more things that we can do to level ourselves up.
Yeah, that's gonna
I,
tie in. Yeah,
as a human, we all work off of frequency. Frequency is like energy. Energy is what we all have, but we physically can't see. And these things do affect everybody else. That's why the people you surround yourself with have an effect on you. That's why the environments that you put yourself in have an effect. And that's why the subconscious things that you're thinking and actions that you're making during your life will affect what happens for the rest of your life. So you have to be putting out a positive energy. That's why during COVID we had a 2 meter distance because they know how powerful this is. They're trying to divide. They're not trying to bring people together anymore.
yeah. Just to clarify, that 2 meter distance is our biofield,
Terrorial.
which surrounds us. Yeah, it's been measured. You can measure it. It's been proven countless times it exists. It's like when you step into a room and you say, oh, I don't like the vibe in here, it's because your biofield is interacting with that space, that environment,
And other people's.
and it's either harmonious with you or it's not, and therefore you think your thought about that has derived from the fact that you are actually emitting out a field, whether you can see it or not.
And this is another reason why doing detrimental things like drinking alcohol, doing party drugs, things like that,
Yeah.
these have effects on your field. These have effects on your vibration. And there are ways to biohack yourself. There's stuff like fruit holds a very, very, very high vibration, especially if you're eating fruit that is seeded and alkaline and not got a lot of the other processes that come along with GMOs with it. You can start to up level yourself. You can start fasting. When you start fasting, you start to cleanse a lot of your body from a lot of the waste toxins that are in there and the parasites. You start to starve them so that your body equals out its blood cells and you become healthier. Your blood flow increases. Your appetite is more like centered towards foods that are going to benefit you. Your cognitive function improves. There are so many biohacks that we can start to develop as a human race to improve ourselves. But you have to also relearn. You have to relearn that breakfast isn't the most important meal of the day. All of these protein products that you think are really good for you are fucking awful for you and they don't have any nutrition. You need to start looking into foods and everything else that you're not doing, because as soon as you stop doing bad habits, good habits will replace it. You just have to find a way of putting your mind to it. When people start the gym, they then start eating healthy, and then when they start eating healthy, they start to mentally clear up, and then they look into themselves spiritually, and then everything opens up. One door leads to another, but you just got to start somewhere.
Yeah, real talk, and that was the same journey for me, man. That by working on my physical, I had no idea what would follow, but clearly I was rewarded for showing some love to myself for taking care of my physical. But obviously people do it the other way around. They start working on themselves spiritually and then go into fitness. So
Yeah,
it depends on that.
there's
James
no there's
says,
no there's no right or wrong way.
yeah, exactly. James says blood is magnetic, fascia is piezoelectric. So it's, so that makes us electromagnetic. The more
Yep.
we move and maintain our body, the stronger the field of energy. Yeah.
That's why when you are someone who is in shape and you walk into a room, other people stare.
Right.
Other people look, their attention is drawn, because straight away your energy levels are boosted compared to your average Joe that is not taking their health seriously.
Yeah. I mean, there's health and then there's like fitness, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
body composition is a sign of being fit. But it doesn't necessarily mean people are healthy. Like,
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
so, but definitely, the more your body composition changes, the more your field expands, it grows larger, and that also ties in with the more you connect with your heart as well.
Yeah.
And I didn't even understand. I didn't understand this for ages until I met Katia, and she explained how the heart in itself has its own neural networks. So it's literally its own brain, and we don't even see the heart as being like anything other than just a pump.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment you connect and make this connection with brain and heart, you develop like what's called coherence. The more coherence you have, the more tuned you are into making correct decisions, less misfortune.
Listen to
And
your heart, not your head.
right, and that's because the heart's field is 10 times, I believe, more than the brain, bigger than the brain. So
Yeah.
the heart expands. It has no measurement of what it can hit. It's the sole compass. It's where your soul is literally stored. Your soul meaning one, meaning everything that is animating this body derives from your soul purpose. Again, you can't see a soul, so it will be laughed at. But for those who connect with the heart, the more you actually understand that there's this depth, and it's its own entity,
I
and
think
it's
I
amazing.
think think as well, like it's like intuition. Like when you
Yeah,
start to listen to your heart, the things that start to come through, they're different. They're from a different place, and
yeah,
usually it's worthwhile listening to. That's what I find. Like when I have a genuine moment where I listen to my heart, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. That is what needs to happen.
yeah. And it is the correct decision. It's just we're too quick to think with the mind. Because we've been, again, trained, programmed to think this is the only thing that is making decisions.
Yeah,
But obviously, there's something outside of us that actually is making the decision, and we are just the conduit, the vehicle to express that decision, which
yeah,
is a bit mad. But that's yeah. Um, so by closing your eyes, actually, one easy way to come from the heart is to close your eyes when you are faced with a decision. And if you literally go to your heart, and then think of the thought, you'll end up finding that you can get a response that is more true to who you are,
that's
is rather
a
than being,
beautiful. That's
yeah, rather
something
than,
beautiful that I'm going to implement more now going forward into my life. And this is why it's so brilliant to speak to people that know more, have that knowledge, start to spread it around, because that is a great piece of advice that can help a lot of people.
yes, bro. And I had no idea about this either. And another quote, I'm stealing um, my wife's quote, but she says, "See, see when your eyes are closed, like see when your eyes are shut."
Yeah,
So that
100%.
really
It's even crazy. Crazier than that. They tell you this in Star Wars movies when they blindfold the kids and they make them walk. It's because you've got to tune into your inner feelings, and this is what we went all the way covered at the start. If you don't start to deal with them inner traumas, you don't start to deal with them things, you're not able to control your actual yourself, because you're thinking in the mind, not in the heart.
yeah. So your actions are aligned with your heart. They're aligned with the programming that's been received up here, and it's not even your thoughts.
Hmm.
So you're running programs that are not your that are not authentic, right?
Yeah, and I was gonna say this brings us on to authenticity like straight away, because when you are listening to your heart and you're in tune with that, you'll find that you're living a life that you actually wanted to live, and you're not sort of developed into that outer world where you just do what everybody else is doing. You're able to make your own decisions, and thus being authentic is the power to be authentic is in this day and age is a lot. It's a big ask for a lot of people, because there's so many social pressures, there's so many distractions of things that can hamper your ability to be confident in yourself. And when you when you realize, and with your realize and you detach from everything else, everybody else is in their own world.
Mm.
Nobody is watching you thinking different things. You are living your life, and you have to be true to you. That is why sometimes relationships and stuff can bring the worst out of people, and other things. You've got to find yourself before you find anybody else. You have to. There's when other people out there say, "I want to meet my other half." I don't believe in other half. I feel like you need to make yourself whole, and they need to make themselves whole, and then you're together. You're two. You're not this uncompromised relationship or friendship or whatever it may be, and that comes through having a partner or having someone that is willing to listen to them traumas, willing to move forward in their life spiritually and openly with you. Because if you have anybody, if you shake a bottle of Coke, when you open the lid, it's gonna pop. If you keep these emotions in, that some point they're gonna pop, and other people can trigger you. So you've got to become whole first. You've got to become you. You've got to do the things that you want to achieve and who you want to be.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a balance of, so the word selfish gets a negative sort of connotation, and you can be imbalanced being selfish, right? Like that's not good. But then there's selfless, which is seen as being good, right?
Mhm.
Which it is. But being too imbalanced, selfless, is also not ideal.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
So
definitely, because you're not your own character there.
yeah, so it's about marrying them together, because you don't want to be less of yourself by being selfless, and you don't want to be selfish. You don't want to be, well, can't think of the word with selfish, but what I'm saying is it's about becoming selfish in the sense of pursuing what it is without harming anyone, what it is that you want, like without harming. Selfless, not giving yourself away as much.
Yeah.
It's literally being both. Um, this is it. So I just got a comment here. Eyes are tricked by fake beauty and distractions. Your heart will always lead you home where love is.
Yeah, and this is like, this all goes back to frequencies, man. Like it, what you put out is what you get. So when you're giving love, that is a frequency, it's a vibration that you're putting out there. When you're being authentic, that is a vibration, that is a feeling and energy that you're putting out there. And what that does is, if we're all magnetic, which we are, that means that there is other magnets that attract, and things and people that can be pulled in. And if you're doing the correct things and you're following the right lifestyle and you're healing yourself and listening, you're going to attract better things. And this was something that I took me a long time to grasp. I blamed the world for bad things happening to me.
Mm.
Blamed the world for the choices that I was making. I didn't think that affected what would then happen, but I was vastly wrong. When I started to change the energy that I was putting out there, the energy that I was receiving was on a completely different level. And doesn't mean that you won't receive bad things. Like, sometimes the universe throws you a nice old curveball because it just wants to say, listen, you think you're on this path.
Mm.
I want to see if you're actually on this path.
Mm.
A big example for me, I've been through a breakup recently with someone I really cared about. That was the curveball. Now, what the challenge was, are you going to stick to these practices like grounding, meditation, breath work? Are you going to still go to the gym? Are you going to keep eating good and fasting and sauna and steam room? Yes, because I want to improve myself and I want to get better. Same as listening to the traumas. I'm listening to my feelings about the situation. I was upset. It was a wave of emotion for a couple of days, but because I was willing to sit with it and listen,
Mm.
we come out this other side with a new profound energy that I'm now motivated and excited to keep going forward for.
Yes, man. That's
And
beautiful.
that was just to be a bit real on here and a bit real. And that's what's happening. The universe will throw you a curveball. It's challenging you. Are you gonna be that person that holds yourself accountable? Do you want to keep growing? Do you want to become better? You've got
Exactly.
you can only answer that question.
And what you've just done there is being authentic with your feelings. And I think when you break the word authentic down, you can look at the first four letters, AUTH, as being author. Like you're the author.
Author, yes, yes. You're the author of your own book. Yeah.
Exactly. You write it. You write how you express yourself without having any thoughts of what people think. Obviously, don't harm anyone, but it's more just, it's stepping into that, you as the author. You're the driver. You're the
Just
driver of what you.
go over the universal laws for people quickly. The
Well, it's as
Putting out
simple.
harm, loss prevention, all them things.
Yeah, it's as simple as don't cause any injury, harm, loss, or trespass. Trespass meaning if I put my hand
A
on you,
breach. A breach.
I'm trespassing into your space. Yeah, trespassing is another word that gets twisted because people think you're trespassing on property, so it becomes like a legal word. That's another thing. But yeah, as long as you do no harm, injury, loss, or cause trespass to anyone, you are pretty much free to do, you know, what you want. It's
Be
just
authentic. Yeah.
yeah, you just have to be emotionally intelligent about it as well. Like, I'll give you a good example. If there's a outdoor calisthenics like bar, like park, or not even that, like a children's play park, right? But I see like a perfect like pull-up bar, and there's kids playing around me. I'm gonna go to that pull-up bar and I'm gonna start doing some reps with the kids all around me,
Yeah, man.
because I'm not causing any harm to them, but their parents might think, oh, but there's no harm. I'm not touching the child. I'm not
Yeah,
intimidating
and you're not
you.
breaking any of them universal laws to
I'm
be
not
doing that. That space is for everyone. You're doing your thing where you want to
exactly.
do, and this is the same as grounding. So I ground a lot. I ground in public quite a lot as well,
Yeah,
and people are not comfortable with it. A lot of people get a bit weird about it. So like, why is that guy got his shoes off or whatever? And this is exactly what I mean. You don't need to if you want to do them things. You want to do your thing. You don't even need to worry about other people.
you
You are
don't.
fine to do. You are fine to do your own thing. If they want to have thoughts and perceptions or whatever, that's their reality. Let them waste time on doing that while you're creating your life, doing what you want to do with your time.
Exactly. And if they want to, ask questions, which they likely won't, because again, the societal conditioning is we keep ourselves to ourselves. You know, gone are the days of being in like tribes, like communities of 50 or however many, and everyone being social and everyone sharing ideas and helping one
And
another.
working
We get
working unitely together.
yeah, we accept that. So naturally, people will stare, and the culture, meaning the cult. When you break the word culture, it's a cult. Yeah, the cult ideology, meaning the cult ideas and the philosophies of what they see, determine that reaction to you putting your feet barefoot on the grass,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
And you're doing no harm. So that's just someone else's ideology that they've been conditioned with, then being expressed through
projecting. Yeah,
projected out, which is non-verbal communication. Most
mm.
communication is non-verbal. So your eyes and the way your
Body
face scrunches
language,
up,
judgment. Yeah,
body language, etc.
yeah,
So it's yeah, it's you can see it, it's clear, but again, you're causing no harm, injury, loss, or trespass. Therefore, that's their problem, right? And that's
yeah.
cool. That's their life. That's cool, man.
That's what they're choosing to do for themselves, and this is why this movement, this ascension is so beneficially important because when you are just being yourself, and you will attract these other people that are being themselves. You'll start to learn more, you'll start to create more, you'll start to want more for yourself, and you'll take away your PlayStation, replace it with books. You'll start to search for knowledge. You'll start one by one taking away these distractions that are keeping you distracted. You'll start watching porn. You'll start going to the gym. You'll just start to change these little habits, and then you realize that you start to feel better for it.
Yeah,
Your life starts to improve, and then it is just from there. It's easy. You just
yeah,
you just gotta keep going. It is easy. You know the answer because you're listening to your heart, and we all
yeah.
know. We all know that exercise is good for us. We all know that eating fruit is good for us and we need to eat more whole foods. We all know that reading is good for us and expands our brain. We all know that physical challenges are important for us to maintain strength as we get older and cognitive function and ability. So all of the things that we know we should be doing, we all of us as a collective know, just very few of us choose to do it with repetition.
Yeah, to act on it. And again, even that is something that's now well known. And what separates people in this respect is you have to, like you said, like, you almost have to go through like pain and suffering in order to then be like, oh yeah, shit, I should probably change this. And then
because it wakes you up a little bit.
It wakes you up. You get slapped in the face, right? Everyone's big and tough until they get punched in the face. Like
and it doesn't always mean physically, and this is the most important thing that people need to realize. Prime example, you could be a fighter and you go fighting and box every single day. You're the hardest physical guy anybody has ever met. Someone could scratch your car or mess with you emotionally and he might break down, and that doesn't scream a strong man to me or a strong person. And this is what I mean. It's not all about physical strength, which is important. It's about the mental strength. If you can break yourself down, great. Goggins is one of the most influential people that just breaks his body down because that's the way he knows how to deal with it. His mind is resilient. There's other people that go through extreme traumas. If they deal with it and they listen to it, they become resilient. You can do it in many of ways. Wim Hof is another one. He uses the cold to completely channel his thoughts in his mind. He is now brilliant. He is fortified in the brain, and this is what we all need to start to try and accomplish individually.
Yeah, and this is what we could say is the warrior mindset.
Yes, 100% the warrior mindset.
Instead of the warrior mindset.
Yeah.
And worries might slip in, but then it's a case of alchemizing it. Like, what thoughts do you prefer to have? Is worrying gonna help you in your situation? No, it's the most aimless pastime.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, like, sit with it, acknowledge the feeling that comes up with worry, but then recognize that you don't have to dwell in worry, you don't have to bathe in worry. You can choose your thoughts.
Yeah, and you can choose your next action then.
This is where the mental strength comes in. Like, it's all easy for me to say it, but that's where your training mentally has to come in, and that's where physical, mental, and spiritual are all connected.
Yeah, everything always connects at some point. And for me, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, something that I promote myself towards that journey of enhancing my abilities and B, helping others. Like, I am nowhere. I wouldn't even say I'm a fraction into my journey of developing, but because I've put myself in, part with so many situations and been in so many places where I've actually, been like, okay, fuck it, let's hit this one head on and deal with it. And I've not given in. I've developed a mindset that I would like to say is pretty damn solid for my age. And what I want for other people is to be able to experience this, because I have been on that other end of the spectrum. Before I even met Alex, there was so many more things that I did not have an understanding of. And this man here helped me open up a lot of doors and a lot of things that I would have never probably experienced if I hadn't have met him at that time. And this is why it's so important to attract them people that into your life that are going to make your life better, even if you don't like it at that point. Some of the things Alex used to say used to overwhelm me a little bit, But because I was curious, and curiosity is another amazing thing along with creativity, that led to me opening up this path and starting to realize that fortifying my mindset and having that warrior mindset was going to benefit me,
Yeah.
to developing myself spiritually, which is a consistent journey, was going to benefit me, and to keep always improving my physical and my mental health. Like, that is profoundly the most two important things that have saved my life and saved so many other people's lives so many times.
Yeah. Wow, man. Thank you.
Proven methods.
Yeah, man. That's beautiful, man. I felt my heart pulsate when you were saying that, man. Like, yeah, it's true. And the warrior mindset is essentially seeing yourself as the first player in a video game.
Yeah.
And everyone wants their player, their avatar, to be like optimized for the game, to actually be better at completing the levels and whatnot. So if you see yourself as that first player video game character, then you want to strengthen your connection to this place, to be able to be more resilient, to be stronger, to be able to help others, to help yourself. And do you know what I mean? It's like, if you start to look at it that way, then yeah, it's you're within certain.
It's exciting when you start to look at yourself as that player. It becomes exciting because instead of dwelling on what you haven't got, you become intrigued into what you could have.
Yeah.
You start to look at yourself in a different light, because you're like, okay, not what haven't I got, it's like, what can I now try and develop, and what can I now try and influence into my life that's going to now make me better and stronger as a person. Mental challenges as well are important. You need to be putting yourself in a position that you're not okay with all the time. And there's been vast studies done by neurologists and people that are really in the know-how about how certain things in our body and our spine and our brain and our nerves work. And it's a proven fact that if you do something that is challenging, but you like doing it, the dopamine release is there, but it's mediocre. If you do something that you do not want to do, that is challenging, unlocks a unfathomable amount of dopamine compared to doing something that you generally wanted to do in the first place. Prime example for me, cold showers. Never, like, since I left the military, didn't like being cold. It was a shit thing for me. So having a cold shower is always like, oh God, can't be asked to jump in a cold shower. Do it, massive dopamine release, because it's something I didn't want to do.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that was a game changer in terms of rewiring my nervous system. So when I was younger, I was quite like flinchy. Like, people used to like take the mick out of me and like do that. And I don't know why I was like that, but whatever. Now, since doing the cold showers, it's I could be walking down the street with earplugs in, someone touches me on the shoulder, and I just carry on walking. Like, that could be quite dangerous in a way, but do you know what I'm saying?
It can be, but then that comes with the warrior mindset as well. Like, you need to start working on yourself in a lot of ways. Start becoming more of a masculine male. We can only talk from the male points. We're males. Then once you do this starts to fortify other areas of your life. You don't want to be intimidating and threatening, but if you appear a certain way and you hold yourself, that can also prevent things from happening as well that are negative to you. Because if you're trying to be that main character, would you ever create your main character to be the least muscular, overweight and slow, not able to double jump sort of character? No way. You're going to give it all the traits like you've said. You want it to be fast, you want it to be collecting them stars and completing them levels like back to back. So why would you do it to your physical body?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? And the whole I guess challenge is is knowing where to start and knowing, well, yeah, really where to begin with it. I
Okay,
think,
let's dive into some
yeah,
protocols that we both follow. Um, that helps you fortify this, because if you work on the physical, it's going to help your mindset.
yeah,
If you work on your mindset, it's going to aid your physical. So like there's a lot of things that myself and Alex I know have been doing for years, and we're going to share these things now. I would like to say, I say to people, it's like a biohack, because by
yeah,
doing these protocols, by following these things, I don't think you realize how much potential you have to unlock until you start doing them, and then you're like, wow, life's changing, and it's changing so much better than I ever thought it would.
yeah. And ultimately, all it's doing is it's strengthening your connection to source. So the source, not tomato sauce, to source connection, which is the same source connection as plugs in a extension lead, the electric mains, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have an electric mains that we can connect to. And by doing these so-called biohacks, our biology is we're hacking our biology so that we strengthen our connection
Mm-hmm.
to that source, to that
because
electric main from.
because you're strengthening that energy system, you're strengthening your body, you're strengthening your mind, you're fortifying it, so it's got the ability now to connect to that higher power, to that ether, to that bigger
Yeah,
project that is necessarily in control of all of us, but only if you allow it to be.
yeah, exactly. So just before we do, Nathan put a comment. It's pretty funny to make CJ in San Andreas GTA obese. Sorry, it cracked me up because I definitely remember doing that.
I
um,
I haven't
just with
played games for a
experience.
while, but like I remember when I was younger, mate, like would spend a good couple of hours doing funny things to characters and making them
Right?
look. But like I always this is what my point I was making. I always used to make characters like how I wanted to be. So
Yeah,
like I'd make them jacked and muscly. I'd give them nice hair and make them have a beard and all the things that I wanted as I was growing up. And yeah, that's what I mean. You got to create your own character.
yeah, and we could use that as like it's good to, well, not even good. It's, you experience it, but if you don't like that experience, then what experience do you prefer? And then you start to look for ways to get an experience that you prefer.
Hmm.
And this is what we're going to go into now. Is some of the techniques, some of the modalities, practices that
Practices is a good one, because
teams basically.
I don't, yeah, I don't think some of these things that we're going to touch on, it's not something that you can just necessarily become good at overnight.
No,
These are things that you've got to be consistent with, and B, sometimes it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like there is a degree of suffering to some of them, and that is literally what we've been talking about in this conversation. Suffering does bring a good byproduct. So I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to start with a practice that I've been following for maybe about 7 years now. I came across a YouTube channel where a guy was just doing his fitness different, and this was a big influence to me. I've had eating disorders and bad habits, and not been amazing with like binge eating and different things like that. Now, fasting changed my absolute world, and it didn't just make it easier, it improved my life, it improved my skin health, it improved my motivation, my hormones. Like I noticed that I felt like I was full of testosterone compared to when I was eating constantly. I didn't feel ill, I didn't feel tired and deflated most days, and I also had a better relationship with food, because when I was to then eat, I wanted to eat good food that was going to make me feel good. So what fasting is you can either do daily fasts, 24 hours once a week. You can do longer period ones every now and again, but I do something called intermittent fasting. And what that is I will eat my last meal in the evening about 7 p.m. And then I will not eat again until about 4, 5 o'clock the next day. That is quite a long period of fasting, but that is only because I've been utilizing this for a long time. You don't have to start with like a 12 to 14 hour fast. So say you go to bed at 10 o'clock, start your eating window at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, have some fruit. Always start with something that's going to lift your vibration, that's quite light, getting your digestive system functioning. Make sure that you're hitting your protein goals the best that you can. And when you do this, you have a feeling of when you eat that meal, you feel so satisfied because it's a big, good, healthy meal. Doesn't mean that you can't have some extra fruit or a bit of yogurt after the meal or something like that, but you've got to fit it in within a time frame. And what that does is gives your body chance to heal itself, because when you're eating food, when you're digesting things, a lot of your energy is utilized. A lot of your cells don't have chance to reproduce those healthy cells, so you develop stuff like cancer. That's all it is dead cells in the body that have not been shifted. So there's a lot of studies been done into fasting improves longevity. Fasting improves the risk of getting cancer, and can even reverse it if you are utilizing it correctly, and not just like fasting and then going and eating a Mackey's or something, which would be anti-productive. So yeah, fasting is one of the biggest things that started to shift the way I looked at everything. Created better habits with foods, improved my performance, cognitive ability. I felt way more awake. So that's how I'm going to kick it off, though, with a big kick into touch. Fasting is one of the biggest things for me that I religiously still practice to this day, and always am grateful to be able to have that ability to fast and go without, because when I go with, there is a level of appreciation and gratitude for that.
Yeah, yeah, massive thing of fasting. Definitely, depending on your gender, actually, fasting should be sort of researched into
Agreed.
beforehand, because women's cycles mean that they have to take extra sort of care
Hmm.
before jumping into a fast, because it can throw off their hormones, which is a big thing. So when it comes to fasting, as a
Doesn't
man,
doesn't doesn't mean women can't utilize like the 24 hours or the 72 hours
yeah,
or even intermittent fasting. All we're saying is just do your research, because we're all individuals.
yeah,
I wouldn't expect anybody to do the same things that I do the same way I do it.
yeah, yeah,
We're all,
100%. But
but the fasting as a practice is a very, very beneficial practice.
yeah, it is. So that's a game changer for men. With fasting, it's easier to fast as a man, because we our body fat should be lower than women's, generally speaking, because
Mhm.
um, we're just built for that. Women need more fat, more estrogen than we do. So yeah, it's definitely one of the best things I've done as well, myself as well. So yeah, should we go into second one?
Topic number 2, please, mate.
Yeah, second one is
Think of it in order of sort of like how you would maybe configure that into a day.
yeah. I mean, we could easily say training. We could easily say
Training's there. Training is definitely the next thing that I would have said.
yeah,
But we don't want to dive too deep into it because we've spoke a lot about the physical. But
yeah,
training, having a good training program, and resistance training
yeah,
is optimal for like physically being more able, and especially as you get older, prevents the decline of a lot of mental health issues. And I do believe as well, like cardiovascularly, you need to be breaching a limit now and again. It's really important, because no matter who you are,
mm,
running there's always going to be a distance that you feel like you can't go any further, and
yeah,
that's what unlocks a little bit more of a mentality. So any sort of physical challenge or physical work during the day.
yeah. It's again thinking of that first player mindset. first player game character mindset, because you've got the stairs there, but you've also got an elevator. Maybe some days the elevator, most days the elevator might be appealing, but let's just take it, just find it within you to be like, no, I'm gonna get those stairs. Do you know what I mean? Little things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If you feel like you've got a lot of energy, a lot of emotion, go for a run, go
Yeah.
and lift, or alternatively, go and ground, go and get your feet barefoot on the grass, on the soil, on the sand, or swim in water if you can. And these are just the ways in which, again, you're strengthening your connection. You're making your body more optimized so it can actually have a better experience of
Yeah,
living.
grounding is something that I do on a daily basis. I do it if I can every morning when I rise, and
Yeah,
I do it every evening before I go to bed. And I found that like genuinely improved my sleep a lot. And I now I appreciate the practice. I do like even as soon as I step on that grass, I feel just it's like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. Um, and I'm someone who's just struggled with a couple of injuries in the past as well, and I do believe like anti-inflammatory purposes, grounding by far one of the most easily available ways to heal your body.
yeah, and that's been proven. Like they've shown the scans of someone who had inflammation in their body, and then when they did the grounding, they saw the inflammation dissipate. It
Mm.
left pretty much. So yeah, and the only problem with that is some people don't have gardens, or they live
Hey,
in.
hey, space, a lot of space out there, man. There's a lot of
There's there's
free
that.
space, parks. There's so many places you can go, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be grass. You can be on sand to a level. You can be on like rocky formation-y sort of natural surfaces. Um, Obviously not inside and not concrete. You can even buy yourself a grounding mat if you wanted to, if like it
Yeah,
was so much of a desperate need. So there's ways around it, but like the majority of people, they know a grassy area where they can go and stand.
yeah,
Um, this leads me on to my next thing. So none of these things so far, maybe the physical like challenge thing, presents sort of some level of stress or some level of challenge, but steam rooms and saunas predominantly I push myself towards a sauna for the beneficial side. The steamer is more just to relax, but saunas and exposure to such a vast amount of heat increases stress hormones in the body vastly. If you are able to challenge yourself to push past some boundaries, what your body does is it starts to release dopamines and endorphins into your system, because it sort of is like a fight or flight, thinks you're going to die, and you're like, whoa, fuck, like I need to feel good, I need to release some of this energy, good energy into my system. When you realize you're not dying and you step outside the sauna, not only have you just released them hormones, you've got the benefit from releasing them hormones, and you've also got all the other benefits that go along with being in that vast amount of heat.
yeah. Massive. Yeah, sauna is definitely one of the biggest ones. I found out the other day in Finland they have one in every home, pretty
Wow.
much.
Wow. So I was speaking to a Russian woman and they said exactly the same thing. They said when
Yeah.
they build the house, they build the sauna before they build the house.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, again, we've been in the UK, we've been deprived of that, man, in a way.
Yeah,
But
massive.
it's, yeah, I mean, that should be enough evidence for people that they have a very very good effect. I think as well with sauna is you can go into them with not not eating as well. So
Oh
you
yeah,
fast.
I fast a lot and sauna fast a lot.
Yeah, that's even more. If you want to strip fat quickly, that is a really really good
And
way to
just
do it. Uh,
boost as a male, boost your testosterone levels
yeah, they go.
massively. And then I think the only place to lead after sauna is cold exposure, cold therapy.
Yeah,
Um, I think if you want to take this one.
Yeah. So hot and cold therapy, essentially, they're two contrasting temperatures that, when the body's exposed to those different temperatures, they produce a different effect. But what happens is a process called thermogenesis happens, which is basically in reaction to the contrast of hot and cold, the body starts to use up its fat, and so we have like yellow adipose tissue, and then you have like brown fat. Brown fat's the good stuff we need, and it actually gets rid of this yellow fat, the unhelpful fat on the body, and it preserves the brown fats, which is why when you come out of a really cold environment or like water, your muscles, like someone who's lean, you'll feel really
Shredded.
the whole body feels, you feel because it's been attacking those fat cells. So really effective one to do is the cold therapy.
I would also say like that's the great physical benefit, but like mentally as well.
Yeah, I mean,
it is a game. It's a game changer, and all of these things are game changers. That's why we're trying to help people out there and say these things. But cold water exposure, like no human, unless they've been practicing it and get the practice, likes being cold. Nobody wants to be in a cold environment. It is a form of suffering, and when you're able to center your mind through just calming your thoughts and listening to your breath, which will lead us on to our next topic. When you're able to breathe, and you're able to breathe properly and calm your nervous system, you're able to increase your consciousness, so you can deal with stuff like cold. You can deal with all these other things. And also just another benefit of like cold exposure, even if you're just exposing your feet to the cold ground and grass, it improves your mitochondria in your body, so it prevents sort of like illness and infection and disease and all of these things that everybody believes is just a natural part of life.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you take that negative, oh, I'm cold, but actually try and
channel.
Have that mentality. It's like, okay, let me embrace it. Let me challenge myself.
Feel it, yeah. Become more primal with it.
Yeah, until you callous your mind. Again, we're constantly trying to train your mind, right? And that's just one of the ways. It's like, it's called hormesis, I think.
Okay.
And I think hormesis is that the body requires a certain amount of stress in order to produce a desirable effect, like you're saying, with the mindset. So the neurology,
you got to trigger the response. Like, so if anybody's watched Deadpool out there, he was fortified in his mind. Like, that's why he was constantly bantering whoever he was bantering, and it took him so much stress to bring out that superpower. Now, we've all got to look at it like that. We all have this power inside us, this authentic ability to be who we want to be, but it's got to be triggered. And these topics that we're covering are ways that you could A, heal your body, and B, trigger this response, and C, improve you in other areas to then develop you to a point where you can deal with that.
Yeah, it's instead of hearing it and being like, nah, I don't fancy that. Nah. It's more like, well, you're missing out on the bigger picture, which is that this discipline shapes and transfers into other areas of your life. So
massively,
if there's something that you want to increase your sex appeal, or you want to have more things benefit you, like, people be more kind to you, for example, just whatever it is, by doing these, you'll strengthen yourself, and it's almost like you're showing self-respect. You're respecting yourself. Look
at it as restoring your energy and your charge, and when you do that, it brings these opportunities that you want, because you can manifest your reality of course you can. But if you're not correctly putting that energy into yourself, like
Yeah.
these manifestations, how they can't materialize if you're not strong enough to believe it yourself. You can't materialize the thought. You have to be so in control of your conscious mind and your feelings and what you want to then be able to manifest. And this brings me on to the next biggest point, that has been something that I've delved into within the last 6 months. And I had meditated a good amount before, but I'd never done breath work until the last 6 months. And breath work for me has been a game changer. It's something I practice every single day, and I'm like excited to do it. It shifts a lot of emotion when you're dealing with sticking with. That's why it's called breath work, because you've got to work on it. You've got to stick with it. And
Yeah.
when you stick with the inhale and the exhale in the correct manner, and you're doing them to different rhythms and in different ways, it changes like your consciousness to a different level when you're able to just detach from thoughts and you're able to just focus on breath. You start to experience thoughts that maybe you can't when you're fixating on your normal in mind daily tasks and things that you're doing. So for me, breath work enabled me to just think outside the box more. And it's also, when you do different holds and you hold in that breath, it challenges your mind. When the practitioners say 2 minute hold in after an exhale, and you're sat there after 30 seconds, you're thinking, I need to breathe, but you resist that feeling because you let your conscious mind take over instead of your panicky reptilian mind. It's another game changer because it allows you to approach people differently. It allows you to approach situations in your life differently because you create space,
Yeah.
space between thoughts, space between process, space between action. Whereas a lot of people nowadays are very, very reactive. You
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you don't want to be reactive. You want to have reactions. You don't want to be reactive.
Yeah. And and a really important thing when if you find yourself being reactive is because it's something you haven't addressed in yourself.
Mhm.
So
And that's why I say
breath work.
you want to have reactions, because you want to be able
Yeah.
to choose them. You want to be able to physically, mentally, consciously choose what you are then displaying out there.
Yeah. And so you respond rather than react.
Respond.
Yeah. And the conscious versus the subconscious. So the conscious is like the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the mind can do, and then the subconscious is beneath the surface. Obviously, sub means below,
Mhm.
and then you have the unconscious, which is like the bottom of the iceberg. And what's happening in all of us is that these unconscious and subconscious programs and reactions and triggers are all playing out, and until we make them conscious and until we become aware of the below conscious triggers and stuff, then they will continue to run our life. And
Yeah.
it's difficult, very difficult, and takes time to make them conscious.
Takes practice, and
It's
this
practice.
is this is just something I'm going to bring up now. When I went through a traumatic time a couple of years ago in a situation, it led me to a book. Now, this book was called The Power of Now. And now what this book teaches you, and inside this book, is a way of consciously developing the way that you think. As soon as you start to think to past, which is depression, as soon as you start to think to the future, which is the anxieties, you're able to then recenter yourself into that present. And it's called the present because that moment is a gift. And when you get given a gift, you need to cherish that. And that is what reading books, which would be my next thing that I don't practice daily, but I make sure I'm doing it at least every other day. I'm retaining some information from Z book that I may be taking part of at that moment in time, and I do it improve my life in that situation that I'm in. I won't read a book. I won't read a book that I'm not trying to then actually impose on the conscious thoughts that I'm making.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, man, and yeah. So I think this is Colin, isn't it? Yes, bro. Yeah, he said he was
Hey,
going to mention
I
it as well.
read a couple of this man's comments. Thank you for all the love, mate. I appreciate that. Well, appreciate love.
Appreciate love. And yeah, the reading is a massive one because not even just reading as well. Like reading is obviously amazing, but you can also like draw. If you like drawing, you can also research certain topics. It's just about expanding that awareness, man. Everything comes down to awareness and perception. The more
Creation,
awareness
awareness.
and creation as well. The more awareness, perception, and creativity you have, the more you are actually living like properly, like because you're using the full functionality of the full faculties of what you're capable of using this
Yeah,
amazing intelligence, man.
yeah.
That
Honestly, mate, I'm fully with you because a lot of these lessons that I started to learn, I knew that they were making a difference, but I didn't know to what grand scheme
yeah,
that it would then lead to. And this was one of the first things that started to develop my consciousness. Just
yeah,
reading this book, and I never fully completed it, and that's the most beautiful thing.
mm-hmm. Didn't
Never even had to fully complete it because once I got what I needed to get, I knew what it meant by being present. I got what it meant by not listening to them thoughts so much. So yeah, there's a lot of power in books, and there will ever forever be power in these books because they're not going anywhere. So
yeah.
invest yourself into some books that are gonna expand your consciousness and just improve your way of living.
Yeah, and always try and get a physical copy as well because there's a big push to make everything digital. So what if you lose your hard drive or something? You lose technology. It's like you want to have that physical. I don't know. Maybe we're old school with it, but the more physical it is, the more tangible,
The
more real it
more
is.
real it
Yeah,
feels, man,
yeah.
100%.
Personal.
The more I can connect with it as well. Like not the massive tech person, don't do a lot from my phone. Everything for me is physical, and as you
Yeah,
said, you can always refer back to it.
yeah.
And you don't lose it until you lose it.
Yeah, exactly. Even the smell of books, man. But it's yeah. Obviously, some people have got preferences and stuff. But yeah, it's essential, man. I've been drawing quite a lot recently as well, man. Like it's my creative outlet. I finished this. I want to be I want to be making been some
Oh
madness, like
wow.
some
Lick City is finished, bro. That's been a
madness.
long time coming, man.
So yeah, it's a bit of a crazy
That's
one. I just
amazing, bro. That's amazing.
yeah, put
I
it
don't
together.
think the camera does it justice, but I know I've seen it in person, so I know what the reminiscence of that looks like.
Yeah, it's I
Alex,
just start saying
you're actually someone you inspired me to draw. Like I started when we went on holiday to the lakes, didn't I? I started experiencing more drawing and doing them sort of things. And this is what I mean. You're a product of the people you surround yourself with. It's so important. I get asked. I've been asked this question quite a lot recently. Like, who's your mates? Like, who do you hang around with? I don't. I don't need mates. I need myself. And like I have people that I have so much love for, and I can have moments like this and experience this. But you need to live life for you. You surround yourself with you and your positive thoughts and your positive attitude, and all these great people, they'll come into your life. They will.
yeah,
It's inevitable. And you know what? When you meet the great ones, they don't disappear.
yeah, facts. Yeah, facts. Yeah, they stick around, man. And that's by virtue again of the fact that we magnetize people because if you're true to yourself, like your heart, if you stay in your heart space, you attract it. That's why it's it's just yeah, it's just facts, man. So circles like having social circles is is necessary in the sense of if they're on the same
Yeah.
level, if they're on a similar wavelength to you.
Mhm.
But you know the ones that you kind of have to be, you have to be very selective nowadays because someone,
It's because it's on an energy level, dude.
it's an energy thing, exactly.
If you sit in a room with millionaires, the likelihood of you becoming a millionaire very high.
Yeah,
If you sit in a room with people that are Xbox players and bums and don't do much with their lives and stuff like that, you will slowly get dragged into that. It's you're a byproduct of what you surround yourself with. Thus, for you are what you eat, you are what you consume. So, just going forward, if anybody is still interested, bear that in mind.
yeah,
Bear that where you put the places you put yourself, and this doesn't mean you can't do observations and experiments and analyze things. Sometimes you can gain a lot from speaking to people that are not on your
yeah,
wavelength.
yeah, of course, of course.
That's also brilliant, but like as long as you're consciously aware of that, and that's the
Mm.
most important thing.
That's an important point, yeah, man. Yeah, it doesn't mean to like be rude to people or just
Hmm.
dismiss people because they don't think the same way you. It's more okay. You embrace everyone for their own uniqueness, but it doesn't mean you have to like be around them. It's whatever it's your path. You
Hmm.
choose. You're the
You,
creator, the
you
co-creator.
don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah, it's
You owe it to yourself to find this path. And the reason why me and Alex are so passionate about these things, and you can hear it in the way we talk about these subjects, is because we both know deep down that if it wasn't for these lifestyle choices, me and this man here, A, probably wouldn't be where we are now, and B, we wouldn't be feeling the level of fulfillment that we do in ourselves. And me and Alex can both stand here right now and say 90% of our day we live from our own conscious minds, and we live from the choices that we want to make, not what this world conditions us to make. And some people have questioned me before, why are you so happy? What like you and you know what? It kind of makes me laugh because I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot of materialistic possessions. I don't have a lot of trophy. I don't have a big trophy cabinet, yeah, but I have a gratitude for being here. I have a gratitude for the things that I can do and the things that are important to me. Money, you don't take that with you. You
exactly.
don't. You don't take any physical belonging with you. All you take with you is your consciousness. And we, I've spoken about this a lot with other people being scared of death. I think we touched on it earlier. People are scared of death because they're scared of losing what they believe is important to them. When they realize that nothing really matters, but everything does matter the way you approach it, game changer.
Yeah,
When
the
you like, if you were to wake up every day and be mad that someone's got a nicer car than you or a better physique than you, all you're doing is prolonging your ability to be able to have them things. If that's
exactly.
genuinely what you want and it's going to make you happy, I find out that a lot of people that feel that cars are going to make them happy and stuff, they get that car, they're still not really fulfilled. But at least go and try. If that's what you want to do, go do your thing.
Yeah,
But I think a lot of people would benefit from just wanting a little bit less and realizing they have everything they need.
yeah. And it goes back to it's all within you, and what it means by that is it's internal, that you can create the reality that you want with
Hmm.
enough emotional conviction, emotional intensity, attitude, thoughts, and your overall mood.
Hmm.
And how can you create the best environment internally in order to have a clearer picture of bringing that to you.
Yeah.
And that
And
is
if
what it's about.
if you don't start to recorrect and redirect energies and things in the correct manner, you'll end up finding yourself in a situation where you relive moments, things happen to you that have happened before.
Yeah.
You're like, why do these things keep on happening to me? Me and Alex here have covered every possibility that we have discovered in ourselves to try and help people out there. So please, if I can urge you guys to do anything, just keep being curious. Keep wanting to learn a little bit more, because this journey, this, if you want to just slap a name on it and say awakening, this process that's happening, it's not an easy process. And when you start to realize things with your realize and you see the world for what it is, it's it's a challenge. It can be a bigger challenge than what you probably were facing before, but know that this is the right path and know that this is what is going to change the future. If you people out there are parents or want to be parents, if you genuinely want a better generation going forward, you've got to heal yourself. You've got to start with you.
Facts. Facts. Yeah. And because if you don't, then your children will repeat the same things that you have,
Mm-hmm.
and and depending on how much love you genuinely have for your creation, you wouldn't want that for them. So it's how you show up to set the example, to be the role model, right?
Indeed.
And this way, this what they call the hero's way, because not everyone will go this way because of how triggering it is and how painful it can be, and how much work you have to put in on yourself. And know by doing that, by putting yourself through that you will actually create a completely different timeline for yourself and for your children and everyone around you, because they'll see the effect and the change that you've done on yourself, and they'll see that, and they can be inspired, they can be jealous, whatever, but they have an effect. They've had a indirect effect or direct effect on you because you've done the work,
Yep.
and it will change everything. It's worthwhile, man.
May have days where it feels like, well, I kind of wish I hadn't dived into this. You can have
Yeah,
emotions that are
true,
that are
true.
overwhelming, because you're not able to look at the world in the same light again. You're not able to see them things like,
Yeah,
prime example for me, football. Was obsessed with football as a kid, loved playing it, loved talking about it, fascinated by players and diving into all of that, okay, and wasted so much of my time doing so
yeah,
until I realized that football was entertainment. Entertainment being something that is out there for everybody to have, but it's in abundance, and it's a big distraction, keeping us distracted from our purposes. And when I started to realize that, I just cut my ties with watching football, because I realized how much energy it was taking from me. And that's not to say you can't go and have a kickabout with your mates and enjoy that, but don't become consumed by things that are not bringing benefit to you. It's got to be an equal energy exchange.
yeah. That's the same with me. And entertainment, when you break the word down, you're basically entering an attained state of mind, which takes your entertainment, anything ending in ment is to do with the mind. It's mental. Like government means to govern, literally govern your mind. So it's the same. You're entering a certain state of mind when you're watching, consuming entertainment.
And
And
words are
that,
very powerful. Words don't just hold frequency. And this is something that I'm working on. I know it. You'll see in Rastafarian community, they say certain words in certain ways because they believe that them words are actually so powerful, because they hold frequency and they hold a vibration. So yeah, be conscious of what you're putting out there as well, not just what you're in the environment of.
yeah, facts. Yeah, it's what you vocalize. The only reason it's a vibration, what you mean by that is when you speak, it creates a vibration. If you were to speak into water, it would create a ripple effect, which is obviously a vibration. You can't see it, and the vibration is received in the ear, which is like a vibration. So it's received like that, it vibrates, and then that's how you then use that information to make sense of the word in which you've been trained
Mm-hmm.
to interpret it, or to, so the words that we think or that we use every day, we don't know really what effect it's having on our body, like vibrationally,
Yeah.
on our cells, how the cells respond to certain words.
Well,
That's why
like,
natural music, it has a
yeah,
certain vibration.
just about to touch on sound therapy then. Like, that's why there are other practices like sound healing. Um,
Yeah,
People may take the mickey, but the Buddha, channeling these certain frequencies, like vibrations in your body, that can also start to awaken you, up level you, and change your consciousness too. Been to sound baths and stuff like that before. Would love to start going to more. Definitely noticed some shifts in my consciousness and shifts emotionally. I took someone that was in my life into a sound bath. The next day, that they experienced a lot of emotional shifts, and they weren't a believer in practices like this. And this is why it's so important to be curious. Go give things a go.
yeah,
You're not gonna lose out. That's all I'll say.
yeah. It's open mind. It's just having an open mind, not being so closed, open enough, not so much that your brain falls out, but open enough that you have that curiosity. And if it's not going to put your life in danger, then go for it.
Yeah, yeah. Got to take some amount of calculated risks in life as well.
Yeah,
A lot of, as we said at the start, we don't want to be third dimensional, don't want to be rooted to fear. So usually the thing that you're most able to succeed at is the thing that you fear the most. So a lot of, let's just use football again, just as an example. When you love something with that passion, you're scared of not making it as a footballer. When you you want to challenge yourself to new heights and you're someone who pushes goals and boundaries, you're scared of not hitting that target.
yeah,
You're scared of not it's not doing something, it's not accomplishing something. And this is what I mean. You've got to set yourself goals, you've got to journal, you've got to do things that are going to hold yourself accountable. When you do that, makes each day an improvable day.
yeah. And it's, these practices, these ways of helping yourself. Everyone's going to have a preference. Everyone's going to have align more with a certain thing than other things,
Hmm.
right? So it's about
Definitely.
finding what works for you, because we can give you all of these ideas. You can try them, but one might not bang for you. Like, you might not like or want to keep doing the cold showers,
Hmm.
for example. So then try the grounding. You might not
Yep.
notice anything with grounding, but
And
it's
then go through that cycle of trying more and more different things and being
yeah,
open to it and being curious. But one thing I will say is, like, when you do start doing these practices, if you give yourself just a little bit of time, a little bit of a chance, say repeating them things for a week or two or
yeah,
whatever, I guarantee, and I can't I could swear by this if I could, that you will notice a difference, you'll notice a benefit, and then it is up to you if you want to keep benefiting and keep thriving and becoming a better human.
yeah. It ultimately upgrades your whole experience of life. You wake up in the morning and you are excited instead
Yeah,
of deflated. Oh,
yeah,
I have to go to work, or oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's like, okay, cool, I'm doing this today. I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
have an approach. You're more aware that there's so much potential within you, infinite potential within you
infinite.
to do stuff.
And two other things I just want to say before, because I've got to go soon. I want to
Yeah,
say, go and experience experiences. So go if you've wanted to do something for a while, please stop putting things off. Go and do challenges, climb mountains, get outside and do walks and skydive or swim in the sea. Do things that you believe that you just have been waiting for and you've always wanted to do it. Go and do it. because you won't regret it, and it will lead to more experiences and more confidence to do that. And one last topic that I just want to touch on before I have to go is, if you are a guy, you're a guy out there, you're a man that's listening, semen retention is the biggest thing you're not doing. And I know you're not doing it because the majority of people I speak to can't even look me in the eyes when I mention the topic. So what I mean by this is, hold yourself accountable. Your sexual energy is absolutely essential for driving focus, mindset, motivation, physical abilities, testosterone boosting, skin enhancing, sleep producing, healing abilities. It is amazing, and it also holds a charge and a magnetic pulse to it. You will start to attract. So if you're a guy out there that is struggling with a porn addiction, or you just can't seem to focus your mind off of the opposite sex and women, yeah, guess what? You ain't gonna change the game until you start realizing this. Like, you start doing this thing, and I promise you, when you sit with it for long enough and you can fight these penetrative thoughts, you are going to start to increase so many abilities that you have in your life. You're going to start to find a flow state of how you do things. And that is the whole topic that we've covered, because you will be able to do all these other practices way better.
Yeah. It's conquering lust, right? If it's lust is one of the sins, right? And if you can conquer that, you have that control over those sexual urges, then you're doing way more than 90% of males, 99% of males out there. Like, it does bring in, you put it so well, man, it brings in so much more into your life. It's attracted my wife, actually. You know, I did months and months with it, and now I've got the love of my life. So if it worked for me, I'm sure it can work for you guys. And
Yeah,
there's
and
another, yeah,
if you want to
I was going to say,
research that, there's a lot of videos out on YouTube of people that have withheld their seed for like a year or so, or whatever time period it may be. That's long enough, and people have experienced exes getting back in touch with them. They've experienced an absolute like abundance of attraction from women that they perceived not in their so-called physical league. And also then they have attracted the person that they have been searching for a long time, and without even consciously trying to. So there's a lot of stories out there like that, and then all the physical benefits as well. Just do your research, people. Me and Alex here have given you all the topics that you could possibly delve into, and give you enough time to look into these things. There's a good 7 topics there. Start with one of them and start to dive in deep. All of them have got depth to them. All of them have got all of them go, they're practices that have been about a long time.
yeah, they're
So
free
yeah,
as well.
yeah, they're proven.
Yeah, they're free is what I was going to say.
Oh
You don't have,
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to buy it. You don't need to purchase any of these things. It's just you're acquiring wealth, internal wealth, not external wealth,
Hmm.
from doing these things. And then you can expect external wealth as a result of doing these things.
Yep,
There's
I
people
feel that, man.
there's people in the chat that recognize this as well. Like, come on, real recognize real with this. Like, it's not a myth or a conspiracy.
And,
It's a
and
real thing.
and when when you start to have your own experiences, like, you'll be you'll be at that position where you start to want to influence others because of how profound it's helped you. And this is the path that we're on. This is what we're trying to do, trying to help people, trying to help males, because as I say, we are both males. We've got some amazing females, like Alex's wife, who is absolutely levels of understanding what women are going through and how to help and heal them. We're trying to do it from a male perspective. And yeah, just please take everything we said with some curiosity.
Yeah, you can only learn or see how real it is by doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So we've done the work, like, and I'm like you said, it's a guarantee that it will work to essentially become the most optimal and live your fullest potential.
Yeah.
It's basically
Don't be hard on yourself. If some of these practices you struggle to do, you can't cold shower for 2 minutes or whatever, you can't go 4 days without touching yourself. Listen, we've all been there. We've all been in them places. Yeah, admittedly, myself, but we've all had things we can't get through as easy. But like, just keep pushing forward with these practices, because there will be a time where the validation of doing it, you will realize the benefit, and you will see into it, and you will be like, wow,
yeah.
that I'm glad now that I knew this, and now I'm going to start practicing it properly.
Yeah, just know, even when it gets hard, no pun there, but when it gets hard, when it gets challenging, just breathe into it. So if you feel that sexual energy down in your solar plexus, just acknowledge it and then just breathe into it. And then that way you take the mental stimulation that's you're feeling down there, you take your mind off it, and it channels up your spine and right into your crown. And again, it's about moving that energy. Every blood is magnetic, as we know, so you're moving the energy around you. So that's how you do it.
Yeah.
It's just try and alleviate any of that tension that you have with the breath. That will massive.
That I think leads us to fully covering everything, man. Like, I don't think me and you could divulge anything else that we don't practice ourselves. I think there's always more to dive into, and that's for future videos. There's so many more topics that we feel like we can speak about and give knowledge on. But this video today was for people that genuinely want to start understanding what's going on and start to make these changes and differences, because we're here to help. There's people that we watch to help us. It's all a tree, man. We're all connected. It's all a root, and you can only start climbing that tree when you start at the bottom.
Yeah, got to start there, and
Gotta work your way up.
just think long term, man. Think long term. Like, it's imagine doing something for 3 months. Just have that long term vision. It's not going to happen straight away, and that's all part of the process. So just think long term and keep visualizing that it's going to happen, because your thoughts, again, your visuals, when you close your eyes and you're in stillness and you're centered, things, it's easier for these things to materialize quicker, actually. So yeah, so that's another little tip you can do for your life in terms of lifestyle. Just find stillness, find a place to be quiet with yourself. Just avoid, just be still, and then visualize what you want. Breathe.
Nature can help you with this process. If you're able to find some sounds that just give you a comfort, if you're able to listen to the birds, and be able to just get out into the natural world, that's going to help. Exactly. Away from technology, away from all of these other things. If you want to divulge into crystals and different things like that, things that can help you center your energies a little bit more, then by all means, that is another practice in itself that's helped me. I just want to say a big thank you to Alex as well while I'm on this live stream, for inviting me on here, being able to make a difference to people. Thank everybody for listening, and just thank you for helping me change a lot of aspects about myself, man.
And bro, likewise with you, man. So it's all reciprocal. So it was hard to find someone on similar levels to me. There's people out there, and we're not. It's all about just creating a common unity. You know what I mean? And I'm just happy. We can spread this awareness, mate.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
100%. Respect and love to everyone, and thank you guys for tuning in.
Top. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Peace
Love,
and
guys.
love. Ciao, ciao. Respect. Oi, oi.